Howdy, everybody. This is Whimsy. Thanks for tuning in. I know this isn't my typical style of content, but I think it's something that y'all will enjoy. I wanted to start branching out and not only have DCS content on the channel, so I figured what better way to start it off than by having on Artur, the developer of my most personally anticipated games, Soulash. An old school roguelike where you play as a god seeking revenge against those who have wronged you in the mortal realm. Now, with all that out of the way, I hope you guys can sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right. So, tell me, what's going on with you? How's your day been so far?
Well, so I guess
Yeah.
difficult a little bit.
Yeah, I get you.
There's been a lot of activity related to Kickstarter.
Right, right. I understand. Eh,
We've done some tweeting and
Right,
different articles, so
right. I get you.
busy.
No, I get you. Yeah. I mean, so as far as like one of the questions goes, I had a person from the community on Reddit actually asking,
Yeah.
like, what got you to want to do roguelikes? Like, why Soulash? Like, why'd you want to do a roguelike as your first game? Is that something that you maybe grew up playing, or is that something you just have an affinity towards, or maybe you just figured like, hey, this would be an easy project or an easy thing to do right off the bat, or
Yeah.
what'd you think? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that this is not my first project.
Okay, all right,
I didn't start with a roguelike.
right.
My first project was a web-based MMORPG game. Uh, I did like 13 years ago, PHP. Um, so this was not my first project. Since then, I've made multiple prototypes, including some roguelikes that never seen the light of day.
Yeah, of
But
course, of course.
yeah, so I usually did game dev mostly to learn. I
Mhm.
first learned programming, making that web-based game. Then I did those prototypes in different languages, different engines. I just keep learning. I
Yeah.
guess that helped me get a job in web dev.
Okay, okay.
But
So,
but
okay, so
but
you're working in web development.
yeah,
Okay, that's
uh,
awesome.
yeah. I'm currently working on a VOD platform,
On a what?
something like on a VOD platform.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah, something like Netflix, but also live TV.
okay. That's really interesting. So that's you said your past projects is kind of like what helped you get that job? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so yeah, I did a couple. I worked for a couple companies in web development.
Mhm.
I worked in different projects like advertisement. So yeah, so I learned PHP mostly for my first couple of years,
Mhm.
including with JavaScript.
Okay.
So I did a couple of prototypes with JavaScript as well, a couple games.
Okay.
So that got me to web dev. About 4 years ago, I settled on C++ for Soulash,
Hmm.
but it didn't start as for Soulash.
Oh man, yeah.
But I guess I get back to that.
Okay, okay. That's actually really
So yeah.
impressive. I mean, like I had started kind of fiddling around with learning Python. I kind of
Yeah.
mentioned it a few times in the Solash Discord, but man, I have a
Mhm.
lot of respect for people who learn like coding like now, especially now that I'm like giving it a shot myself. It's hard, and you said
Yeah,
you were programming in a whole bunch of different languages, right? So, and you just use C++
yeah.
plus plus for this.
Yeah, yeah. So the first game that I made, it took me about 6 months to learn from actually nothing. I didn't know programming at all back then.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, if you pick up prototype, some kind of game,
Okay, okay.
you have an idea what to do, so you can you can keep learning new stuff every day.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
progress this way.
Yeah, it's definitely something
So
that you seem to learn more, like no matter how long you've been doing it. It's just something that you always pick up on, like new things and everything, which
Yeah,
is insane. So,
yeah. The technology changes a lot. The languages, the frameworks, engines over the say a decade.
mm.
There's been so many languages that were popular.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like,
Like, there's a list of languages. People are like, I had heard about, and I don't know about a whole bunch about programming, but like just recently I heard about Dart, like
oh,
a
I
Dart.
haven't even heard about
Yeah,
it.
I know. I haven't even heard of it either. Like, it's like insane. Like, I know the basics. Like, I know C sharp, C++,
Yeah.
Python, things like that. But that just kind of boggled my mind that there are so many out there. And it's just one of those things. Um, so what garnered the idea for Soulash? You said it started originally like as a trading roguelike, right? Like what was the idea
Well,
behind that?
the interesting thing, uh, 4 years ago when I started this project, I actually started from building my own engine in C++
Hmm.
because I didn't know what kind of game I want to build.
Okay.
I built a lot of prototypes and I got bored with them, or I hit a wall that I couldn't progress. And I always felt that I did hit a wall too soon. Like, for example, when I built some prototypes with JavaScript, I felt like it was uh, it was slowing down too soon. I didn't even start making the game properly yet, and I already have to optimize performance,
Oh my
which
gosh.
was
Okay. Okay.
which 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 was probably because I didn't know the language well enough, but also. Uh, I think it wasn't a good language for the things that I wanted to make.
Hmm.
So I did try some Unity as well, some other engines like Godot,
Hmm.
but eventually I decided to just pick the most performant language I know, which was C++
Hmm.
at the time, and start learning that and try to build my own engine, understand a little bit more about how games are built, about particles and other things. And so for the first 6 months, I just decided to concentrate on the engine, just build something and start to build some simple games with that. So the first game I actually finished with the engine, just to confirm that the engine works, was called Shields Up.
Okay.
It was a very, very, very simple game and can be found on Congregate.
Okay. Okay.
And I used what was it called? I used a technology that allowed building C++ as a JavaScript to be able to play it on the web. That's how I put it on Congregate. So that was the first confirmation that the engine works, and I can start working on my game.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
You can't have an engine that's not working.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That
obviously you
was
got to
very
have a good
important to
foundation.
first confirm.
Yeah. Yeah, so you
uh,
said yeah, so Shields Up like super simple game, kind of like a prototype thing that you threw together to kind of like
yeah, it was simple. Just some asteroids being thrown at your ship, and you had to raise the shields in a specific direction just to prevent the asteroid to hit your ship. And yeah, so very very simple. I did it in like 2 weeks with the engine. Yeah, just to confirm it, and I said specifically that whatever I do, it just has to take no more than 2 weeks, and and continue on. Yeah,
yeah, I get you. Okay, that's really interesting. Like to me, this is all new stuff. Like this is all practically a foreign language as far as like programming goes, and it almost literally is in some senses. But that's really
yeah.
interesting. Like how long did it take you to develop the engine in the beginning? Like you said, it was like several months,
6 months. Yeah,
6 months.
it
Jeez.
was 6 months. Yeah. I did start with a very good tutorial on YouTube, and it was good because by every couple videos there was a challenge to make a very, very simple game. So first you start with a console and something like a roguelike, but it was super simplistic, just to render some characters into the console, and you can do that after a couple of videos and just move on, right?
Right, right.
And then add some other things and start rendering graphics and so on and so on, progress like that. Then add physics and so on. So it was very good to just confirm that something can be made with the engine every couple, let's say, milestones, and 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 yeah, so this helped. And after those 6 months, when I decided, okay, I don't really need those physics. I'm not gonna make this kind of game. I need simplistic physics probably.
Right.
So at that time, I just stopped the tutorials and decided to make this Shields Up game,
Right.
just to confirm the engine works and that I understand it.
Right,
Because
right. It's
if you
you're
follow
testing the
tutorials,
waters, you know.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing
yeah,
to, follow a tutorial and kind of build off of that a little bit.
yeah, exactly.
It's a different
So
thing when you know.
yeah, when you have an idea and you try to execute, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Uh sorry, I had my monitor black out for some reason. I was like, what the heck? But yeah, but it's one thing to, do a prototype and, do things like that through the tutorials. It's a different thing to kind of go out on your own and confirm, like, yes, like, this is the knowledge that I actually have over the subject, and, like, I can do something a little bit more involved than, a Shields Up game, right? So,
yeah,
yeah. But, so
yes.
what specifically got you into the idea for Soulash though? Like what motivated you to want to do the game Soulash and be like, yes, like this is like confirmed like what I want to do. Like
So
what motivated you?
yeah, so as you mentioned, the first thing I wanted to do is simply roguelike, right? The first
Right.
decision that I made is, okay, after the Shields Up, I want to make a roguelike with this
Mm,
engine, right? And the reason I wanted to make a roguelike was because I thought it would be simple.
sure. Sure. Yeah, I'm sure yes,
Yeah, but
but no.
I'll explain a little bit more because
Please. Yeah.
uh, the most important thing to me was to essentially build a world.
Okay.
So I guess kinda like Dwarf Fortress, right? They create incredible worlds, and so uh, this was kind of something that felt possible, right? With enough dedication and time, something achievable. And I really wanted to build worlds since I was a kid, and I played Warhammer Fantasy,
Oh, yep.
D&D.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I always like to be a GM and
Yeah.
game master and build those worlds in imagination. So now that I have skills to make this into a video game, it's even better, right? I can put my thoughts into something uh, visual, not just tell someone and to imagine it. Although with ASCII graphics, yeah, with ASCII graphics, it's still a kind of
Yeah.
imagination.
Yeah, no, it's still a little bit of imagination, but at least you got something there, right? But I mean, you have
Yeah.
what was your artist's name? Ziklu, right? Or is that
Yes.
Ziklu?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
they do a really great job of, doing pixel art for your game. Like I was really
True.
impressed with what it is. And granted, I mean, they're simple. It's pixel graphics and those types of things, but um, for what they were doing, I thought it was pretty impressive, especially with the spell effects and, like all those different things. It really kind of
Yeah.
breathes a little bit of life into it. So
Yeah. I've been working with ASCII for so many years. to be honest, couldn't even imagine how the game
Right,
could look like with graphics. So
right, right,
I needed a really good artist to actually show me.
right. Of course, yeah. So,
I just explained what kind I want, uh, yeah, and Zico made it happen.
yeah. I mean, and
She
that's
she had some iterations, yeah, to show, and it looks really great now.
yeah, that's awesome. And like honestly, like yeah, like I saw the trailer to this game, and honestly, the trailer like sold me almost right there between. And I like having the ability to switch from ASCII and the pixel graphics. You know, like the graphics themselves are really beautiful, but there's
Yeah,
something to that. It's something that you've done with the ASCII graphics that it's ASCII, obviously, but there's some sort of like uh it's modern. You know what I mean? Right? Like it feels a little bit more full of life than
yeah,
like a regular like just a like an at symbol moving
yeah.
across the screen. Right? There's a little bit more to it, and
Yeah,
there's
I did.
animation to it and everything, and it
Yeah,
looks really good.
I did add some. Yeah, I did add some animations and some fake 3D effects.
Right, right.
So it looks interesting. Yeah, when you walk through the village, when you walk through the village, you see walls and of the houses. So it doesn't look so flat, and the trees are popping, and the leaves are moved by the wind,
Right.
and you
That
see the rain falling down from the sky.
yeah, yeah. I love that effect of like the rain falls from the screen. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
obviously it's a top-down game, but like seeing that rain come down like that, it kind of gives you a sense of like depth almost. And I don't know. I like that. Like I love seeing the leaves blowing in the wind and stuff. It I don't know. There's a
yeah,
certain level of that fake 3D effect that you were talking about that like I don't know.
yeah,
It sold me like on it like really quick. Um, yeah, and I don't know. I just don't see a whole bunch of people doing that like with their roguelikes whenever they come out. Like I've seen some like similar things on others, but it's really interesting and I really enjoy it. And I'm sure
yeah.
other people will too. So,
Yeah, I think more people will experiment with this.
right.
And more games are adding the effects. For example, the latest Adam, it was the Adam
Yeah.
Ultimate, I
Yep,
think.
yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I know
so
what you're talking about.
they
Ultimate
added,
Adams. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they added the 3D ASCII mode. It's a
Mhm.
completely different mode, right?
Right. No, I mean
So
yeah, it feels so I haven't played it myself, but from videos I've seen of it, it looks interesting.
look great. Yeah, it
It's
looked
like
great.
it's a little like it's a little strange, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. I like it, but it feels a little weird because you expect 2D and it's just like this weird like 3D mode where you can change the angles and your stuff. I don't know. It's just like whoa, like it's not something I ever expected, you know. But it's interesting that they did that.
Yeah, as I said, I think a lot more roguelike developers will try to experiment with this because I feel like there's still more that can be made, something unique and something interesting that will stand out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like it's also about like kind of creating a game for a wider audience too, right? Because you know, uh, not many people play roguelikes really, and
yeah,
not many people play ASCII graphics as well. It's typically more the
that's
people who grew up with them who kind of have a nostalgic, uh, a nostalgic. There's like a nostalgic appeal to it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but people nowadays are all about fancy new graphics and stuff like that, and like I understanding that like having that element to these games, especially these old school roguelikes, I feel like is becoming more and more important, every day. So
Well, it's difficult compared to Witcher or Cyberpunk, right?
Oh
These
yeah, sure.
worlds that are created, and you can just go in and uh, see everything like you're there, right? You
Right,
don't need your imagination to just get hooked
right,
into that world. So I guess with time we're gonna have more and more of those games, and it might be difficult to find the time to small roguelikes like that.
Oh man, oh
It
come on,
just, you know,
yeah. No, I
but
know
who
what you mean.
knows?
Uh, but yeah, like like I played roguelikes before, and like it you know, like that used to boggle my mind, playing those games because like it was so simple, yet I it was immersive, you know what I mean, because of my imagination,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
nowadays it's like they have all these games with all these amazing graphics and everything. It's like you barely need to add any form of imagination to it, like um,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't need it. You just everything is shown to you.
Right,
Right?
right. And it's nice. It is. It's these games are a lot of fun and they're beautiful, but there's a certain
Yeah,
appeal. I guess maybe it's because like I play a lot of D&D myself. I play a lot of tabletop games, and I'm a GM, and
yeah,
it
great.
like there's a certain element of like world building that I really enjoy, and like roguelikes, like old school roguelikes, like really appeal to me for those reasons. Like even stuff like the original Rogue game, it's just there's a certain element to it that really draws me in. So
Yeah, well, um, so the RPG system, like D&D, they those got very popular kind of recently, I guess. I, oh,
oh,
my screen went black.
oh, your screen went black
Can you
too.
hear me?
Oh, yeah, mine did
Yeah,
too. What the heck?
I don't know.
That's a weird situation. Okay.
Some weird stuff.
I don't know what Discord's doing to my computer, but uh,
Yeah.
no, yeah. So yeah,
So, where was I? Yeah, so the D&D got very popular recently because
yeah,
I guess mostly because celebrities started to playing them,
yeah,
but a lot more people kind of started to enjoy the free free reign of these kind of games, right? You can do
right,
anything you want. You can just say it and it's happening.
right, right.
It's before we can get that even in the best games that are made, it's gonna take a while, right?
Right, for sure. Um, and like I've always liked those games, and like I've always liked D&D and whatnot and tabletop games, and it's nice to see that like we still have like an active community on like like r slash roguelikes and r slash roguelike dev, like in you and
Yeah.
like others who are all still like keeping that genre of game like alive, and it's really interesting, and I really appreciate the fact that like somebody's still wanting to create these games, and like
Yeah,
Soulash
yeah,
itself is just such a great example of what you can do with the genre that like seems to push the bounds in certain aspects. I feel like because like we have like NetHack, and NetHack is a great game, and Brogue is a great game, and like we have all these other games that are great. But like Soulash just adds a little bit of, well, with no form of pun intended, but like a little bit of soul to the roguelike game itself, and you know I find myself really drawn to it in the storyline and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see, and I'm really interested to see what eventually happens in Soulash, once that finally comes to light.
yeah. I think it's gonna be very, very interesting.
Mhm.
So soon we'll have other gods that will come to the world,
Yeah, so
and there's gonna be big battles.
oh man, so that is one thing I was meaning to ask you about.
Yeah.
What got you interested in doing that? Because that's a really unique mechanic of, whenever you end up, because essentially, being a god, you're going to fight the other gods. And eventually, when you've defeated one, you know, going to and like, going through those mechanics of, like you had mentioned, I think in your most recent Kickstarter post, or Kickstarter update, saying something about how, if you kill the god of blood, like it starts raining blood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's that's insane. That's that's really interesting. What got you
Yeah.
to think of that mechanic, and what kind of effects do you think that those things would have on gameplay itself?
Yeah. So uh, I always wanted to make this kind of I guess epic battle,
Right.
but
Okay.
not just the battle itself, but I wanted to have the very lasting and very big effect on the world after those fights.
Right.
One of the things about roguelikes is that every playthrough should feel different, and so there's not much repetitiveness and so on.
Hmm.
So I thought to myself, okay, if I, let's say, include 20 gods and you fight about 5 through single playthrough, and every one of them will change the world completely, like raining blood, or everywhere is snow now and you
Right.
don't see rain, but everything is snowing. It's gonna change the whole world, and you're
Hmm.
gonna for your whole playthrough, right?
Right.
And I wanted to have that kind of epic feeling that there was a big battle and there's a very, for lack of better words, just big change
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the
There's
whole
like
game, right?
there's consequences to fighting the other gods, like whether they be good or
Yeah,
bad. Um, I find that just really interesting, and I'm interested to see the, like I said, the effects that those things have on gameplay. Like, like you were talking about, like killing a god, it could all of a sudden, start snowing, right? Like,
yeah.
what kind of, like, how do you think that like those types of elements would affect gameplay, if they would at all? Like, do you think it's like one of those things where, um, is it going to affect, like NPC decisions, or is it going to affect like player decisions based off of like, different things, like whether you implement some sort of like a weather system, right? Or
So so player decisions definitely,
mm,
because if you have snow everywhere and you're a lich, then suddenly you might have trouble finding I guess your sustenance, right? You
right.
can't
Okay.
really deal damage to the grass.
Yeah, right, right.
You can't rot it. So
Okay.
now you need to look for other options, right?
Right. Okay. So
If
that's one of the
everything is
things.
flowing with blood and you don't have water, then what do, right? You have to
Right,
drink the
right.
blood, but it's not the
Interesting.
same as water and can
Right.
be
Be
problematic.
yeah,
So,
be great for the vampire race.
oh yeah, the vampire race, yes.
It's
But
like
for
heaven for
everyone
the
else,
vampire race. Oh
yeah.
man. But yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
so
So
there's other effects like there's permanent night suddenly,
right.
right? So some
Limited
races will have
vision.
trouble because vision is lowered, but on some other perfect, right?
Right.
Like vampires,
Hmm.
they will feel great at night, but not
Hmm.
so much during the day, which is
Right,
another
right.
effect.
Oh man. Yeah, no. I mean, so and that's one of the elements of the game, is that it's, you have like a set list of gods, right? And then
Yeah.
I think you had mentioned, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but like you wouldn't encounter every single one of those gods on one playthrough. It's
No.
just a randomized list from, or randomized group from that list that you would encounter on a single playthrough.
Yes.
Okay.
Limited part of this pantheon over the single playthrough.
Mm,
So every playthrough is different, and the world is affected in a different way.
right.
Uh, but the next update will bring endgame, and this will be a little bit more straightforward, right? Because this will be the finish to the story, so it will be more set in what it will be.
Okay. Okay. So the other thing, where are you at with this game so far? You're on update point 0.6, correct? And point 0.7 is supposed to come
Uh,
out soon?
point 5 now, and point 6 will be gods,
Okay. Okay.
and it will happen in about 2 months, I guess.
You think about 2 months. Okay. That was one of the
Yeah,
questions that we had. They were asking about the current status of development, and so how much of the game is done and what still needs to be completed? What are the big obstacles that you foresee yourself having to face as far as the game development goes?
yeah. So the game is overall developed over the last 4 years,
Right.
and for the past 2 years, it's been in alpha state
Okay.
on each, and we've went from I guess point 0.02 to point 0.05 now, for this time, uh, where we added modding support and destructible terrain. I actually don't remember the last one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the there will be about 3 more, I guess, big patches before 1.0 release on Steam and itch.
Mm.
So it's gonna be point 0.06 for the gods, point 0.07 for the end game.
Mm.
That will include the victory conditions
Right.
and
Right.
finish the story.
Mm.
And the last one will be final polishing, adding Steam Workshop, other integrations, and some UX improvements. We're gonna try Linux build.
Oh,
It
okay.
was
Okay. So that'll
it
be.
was requested often,
Oh, yeah.
but we're
Something
gonna
about.
try.
Yeah. Yeah. Give it your
Yeah,
best. I mean, so what?
yeah, yeah.
What are the challenges for like porting a game over to Linux? Is that specifically like more challenging than even like putting it onto Apple computers, or what do you think?
No, no, I don't think so. It's mostly about changing the build system.
Mm.
So I chose, I guess, the easiest one for Visual Studio,
Okay.
which is Windows only,
Okay.
and that's the only reason that we're not having Linux yet. So I
Okay.
just need to port it. I need to learn the new build system and
Okay.
finally make it.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. I get you. So it's just it's a bit of a hurdle. Hopefully things will work out in your
Yeah,
favor.
exactly. So yeah, so the Apple is a little bit different because last time I checked, they deprecated the support for OpenGL,
Okay.
and the engine, my engine is built on OpenGL.
Mhm.
So I think we will need to put some other graphics engine like Vulkan or Metal
Okay.
to go to Apple
Okay.
Max. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit more difficult, I think, to achieve than Linux.
Right. So what made you choose OpenGL? Is that something that you're just more confident in, or something that you kind of already know yourself, or?
Um, well, the answer is actually quite easy. It was in the tutorial.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
when I
so it's
built the
something you've
engine.
grown accustomed to, right? That's okay.
Yeah,
That's a good thing,
exactly.
right? I mean, it's something
Yeah,
you're used to, and like that's. I mean,
yeah,
what more could you ask, right? So.
yeah. I didn't do much graphics programming. I don't really do much in shaders. Don't
Right.
I don't understand much there. So
Right. So I mean, but
yeah,
this like ends up to be like one of the perfect projects in a sense, right? Is that it really kind of opens up to learning more about the programming language in the game in the OpenGL itself and everything, and it's not too advanced. It's something that's
yeah.
relatively reasonable, and within scope. I assume you're the only developer of this game, correct? Like other than
Yes,
Ziklu, who does
yes,
the art. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
okay, okay. And what about the music? What do you do for the music? Do you normally just like obtain licenses for it, or do you have somebody make that as well? Or
Yeah, so music comes from, I believe, Unity Store.
okay,
I just purchased the licenses.
okay,
I picked the ones that would fit the game, and
hmm just
yeah,
something that you kind of felt like, yeah, like you said, just what you felt fit the game appropriately, right? So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah, because a lot of those older roguelike games are just completely silent. You know, it's nice to have a bit
Yeah,
of
you
a
know,
oh
that's yeah, it's well, it's it's difficult to spend money for the project if you don't see it, I don't know, making money back, right?
sure, sure,
So
sure,
it's understandable that many roguelikes are just hobby projects
for sure,
that maybe don't have these things.
right, of course. I will say it does add like a certain element that I whenever I play old roguelikes, I always just put on a playlist of music or something like that from YouTube that I can find for
Yes,
like
music
stuff.
can add a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's just
Especially if you have ASCII graphics and you need imagination, then
oh
music
yeah,
can put it in a whole different level.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Music and sounds, yes.
yeah. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like imagination can go pretty far, but I always like putting on a nice little, like kind of like an RPG playlist or something, or a fantasy playlist or something whenever I'm
Yeah,
playing
I
a
think
game.
music is just an enhancement, right?
Right,
If you watch
absolutely.
fantasy movies and you see epic battles with epic music, then if you hear the epic music, you already imagine epic battle.
Right, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like
It's a
it,
good enhancement, yeah, for the
yeah,
imagination.
absolutely, absolutely. Uh, yeah, and I think the music you chose is really great, especially for the trailer. Um, wow, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
the trailer really like it really sold me on the game. It was pretty impressively put together for what the game is and the elements that it has and the music and everything. And uh, yeah,
I like this music a lot as well. Yeah, I actually I did spend some time looking for different tracks that could be used for the trailer,
mm,
and this one was so good that I just couldn't pass it.
yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, that trailer was just really well put together all overall, and
Yeah, thanks.
between the trailer and the game itself and Ziklu's art, I think you have like a really good combination going there that you don't really see very often. Like at least in the indie dev realm. Um,
Yeah, I think it's going well. It's been
mhm,
going decently for the past, as I said, 4 years. But
mhm.
I think we have a shot on doing something really great,
Right.
uh, and we're gonna continue
Yeah, absolutely,
until we
absolutely.
do.
Yeah. And with that, you actually updated recently saying that uh, if you met the goal of the Kickstarter and you were to make one of the next stretch goals was the most requested feature, factions.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain like a little bit more about factions and what that may or may not entail, or kind of like your
Sure.
ideas for
So
it?
yeah. So right now, Soulash is very much combat focused, right?
Sure.
There is crafting, there is some survival elements. You can mod a lot of things in it. You can
Mhm.
even grow cabbages, right?
Nice. Yeah.
And be a farmer. Yeah, you can mod a lot of things into the game, and you can play in a different way. But the core gameplay is revolving around combat.
Mhm.
There's destructible terrains that support it, and it's dynamic weather, and so on.
Mhm.
So uh, many players would prefer something more. They would like to build some relations with different races, with different groups, different factions. They would like to do something else other than combat,
Mhm.
maybe trading or get some allies. Essentially, do more stuff outside combat. So the idea with factions would be that some of them would be well hostile, and some would be, say, neutral or friendly, right?
Right.
And these factions would battle each other for terrain, for influence, or use diplomacy. And you would come in, some other gods would come in as well, and they would, just like you, try to, I don't know, ally with some of them, or well, make them do your bidding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're essentially a god, so you just come in and you tell them what to do. So the idea would be that the world would not be fully hostile,
Mm.
but some of the groups would be would it would be possible to make some of the groups friendly, and let's say use them during some battles, some final, I guess, showdown with the other gods.
Okay. All right. And so, yeah, so essentially you could either through either manipulation, allying with them, or through just intimidating them enough to
Yeah,
side
or
with you.
you,
Uh,
you
to us.
promise them that they will get something in the new world that you're gonna make, right?
Mhm.
Because you come here to take over this world.
Oh
Yeah,
my, that seems like a really big update. I gotta admit, like a pretty big goal, but admittedly, like it does seem really cool. It seems like a an element that'll like really flesh out the game in and of itself, because right now a lot of it is just like, you versus the world, right? Like it's just
yeah,
everybody's out to get you and everybody's trying to eat your lunch, and
yeah,
you're just trying to get more powerful so you can, beat them back essentially. So,
yeah,
but that'll add like a what I feel like will really flesh out the world outside of the story, like I love that idea of just like, being this god that came down and, said, "Hey, I have this to offer you," and they're like, "Yeah," and then in that final showdown to just like turn the tables on them, which is,
yeah,
definitely not the good guy thing to do, but uh, it can turn into really interesting scenarios, and if the
yeah.
if factions
So
get
yeah,
implemented, I'd love to hear the future stories that might come from that. So.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think that adding more choices for the way to play the game is very good for roguelikes.
Right.
And the well, actually, the really great thing about roguelikes is that there is never-ending list of features that you can add,
Right. For sure.
like factions and so much more. Yeah, so I also think that factions would add a lot to the game,
Hmm.
especially for different gameplay types.
Mm.
And well, I hope we can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so you talked a little bit about modding tools. So what was your not necessarily your idea behind that, but so what how do I ask? Can I get a bit more like elaboration on the mod tools and kind of like
Yeah,
how they work and what you can do with them and things like that?
sure. So uh, inside Soulash, there's a couple uh, in-game editors. Can create new maps, alternative maps at a certain position, and by maps I mean let's say regions of the world, right? Because
Mm.
essentially in-game it's one big map,
Right.
uh, just split into some regions that are connected. So there is the map editor. There is a organization group editor where you can just pick what kind of enemies will be spawning on a certain location during the world generation.
Mm.
During gameplay, there is no spawning, although there are mechanics that could support that.
Right.
And there's entity editor. This is entities are essentially anything that you can make, like grass, like trees, like AI entities, AI, uh, like items, and essentially anything that constructs the world is an entity. And the editor allows to create these things, including some tools for crafting and so on. Um, and we have editors for abilities and for animations uh, to add to the game. Um, so those are the four editors, five, and we have also JSON files that are not yet moved to the editor for professions, races, to and a couple other things like weather. So those things also can be modded in, but through configuration JSON files, not through forms.
Okay. All right. It's really impressive what you're able to do with the tools themselves. What got you wanting to create mod tools for the game? Is it, to kind of, because I know that, the ability to mod and having good modding tools for a game really, from what I've seen, really expands the life of the game itself and like expands the player base. Is that part of the reason why you wanted to do it, or what were your inspirations for actually implementing them?
Yeah, so there are a couple reasons that I wanted this. First one was that I wanted something that would allow me to add a lot to the game quickly.
Mhm. Okay,
Uh,
okay.
so
So even kind of like development tools for yourself in a sense.
yes,
Okay.
that was the first iteration, I guess, because if you're making tools for yourself, they don't need to look I don't know, understandable to other people.
Right, right. As long as
Uh,
as long as you understand it.
Yeah,
I
you
getcha.
just need to understand them. They can look very, very ugly, but
Right.
if you can get the job done quickly, it's good enough, right?
Sure, sure.
So this was the first iteration. As I mentioned before, my main goal was to create world or
Mhm.
worlds, multiple.
Mhm.
So I wanted to have tools that will allow me to do it quickly, right? So that's the reason that I made them. Actually, the first reason. The
Sure.
second reason was as I was building the game, the engine, and so on over those years, uh, if I ever finish Soulash, I would like to probably make the same, well, the game in the same engine and the same maybe editors, right? So
Okay.
I will have something that I would not have to start from complete zero, right? Or just pick
Right.
another engine like Unity and learn that and go like that. But I thought to myself that I would like to build the tools that I would use then again and again, maybe again.
Right. No,
So
yeah.
so I would
No telling
so
what the
I would
future holds.
essentially build on top of that, right? I would add new features and so on. Um, so I have options, right? I can build Soulash for many years to come, or just build on more games and still continue to add to the possibilities, right, of the game.
Right.
So
That's
that
really
was the
awesome.
second reason, yeah. And the third one was because I wanted to. So the third one was the reason why I actually tried to make these mod tools look um, well, to be understood by other people,
Right.
and to allow modders to add something to the game, or even make completely new games in that. Uh, and the reason I wanted that is because when I make Soulash, it's I can obviously replay it to some degree,
Mhm.
but it's not the same as you playing some other game, right?
Right.
But if someone makes a mod and it's like completely changes the game, it's completely fresh. So I can play my game, but also someone else's at the
Right,
same
right.
time.
It's like somebody else's
And I
flair
wanted,
to
yeah,
it. Um,
and I wanted to add a lot of possibilities, so I could actually replay my own game.
Right. Yeah, they were talking about in your Discord channel, they were talking about like possibly making like a sci-fi version of
Yeah,
Soulash. It's like, dang, like it's like you. I remember
yeah.
he was talking about working on a
There's
gun. I
space,
was
there's
like,
some
what?
planets.
Like
Yeah,
that's really cool. That'd
yeah,
be a really cool thing, and I could totally see your perspective from it. It's just like, you're the one making the game, right? Like we are just enjoying it, and and eventually we'll be modding it, sure, but you're playing your game all the time. Probably you're doing play
yeah,
testing and testing features out. At some point, you've played your game half a million times, right? And at some point,
yeah,
you're like, oh, maybe something new, and you have those mod tools available to people, and it gives you a whole new thing, and that's really
yeah.
nice. Like,
Very exciting. Yeah,
yeah, I'm super excited to see what everybody comes up with. I even just saw somebody made a witch mod already, a witch
yeah.
class, right? Like that's
Yeah, that's actually amazing. Yeah,
yeah, that's
I
awesome.
can't wait to try it. That's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be
Well,
awesome.
I was just thinking about trying it myself. I was like, dang, uh,
Mm.
yeah. So that'll be really awesome. So what about the races and what about the races and the classes in the game? Yeah, I saw that you had some other people make races with the game. I did the lizard men, and somebody did like demons, right?
Oh so we have a Kickstarter tier to design your own race,
Hmm.
right? So we had like six already, I think, and
Oh wow.
uh, uh, yeah, I already guess gathered five.
Oh
I already
wow.
know
Okay.
which five we're gonna get.
Okay.
And there's gonna be like two demon races, one lizard man, yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
shadow folk
Ooh.
and wishbone race. So
Okay.
really exciting things gonna come.
Yeah, it definitely adds like a lot of new elements to the game. So how do you work around that? Like as you're developing your game, like is it just something that you don't really give too much thought to? You just kind of like, or you put thought into the race itself, right? But like you can kind of just
Yeah,
like plug it in and like that's good to go. Or are you talking about like even like designing certain gameplay elements around them, or things like that?
yeah.
Like,
So each of these races will have a special, I guess, uh, passive power, right? So
mm,
the shadow folk, for example, they will have a unique mechanic of being stronger in the darkness and weaker in the light. So
oh,
this includes the light of day and like torches, right?
mm,
So this might be interesting because you would have to consider some other things like where do I move? If I move there, will I
right,
be weaker or stronger, right? So
sure,
positioning will be very important with this race, and it's really interesting.
right,
While the demon race, for example, one of the demon races gain damage as they lose health, right? So
okay,
it's more high risk, high reward kind of
right,
gameplay. So
right.
it's completely different and completely different from what we have,
Yeah, no
and
kidding. Yeah,
it's just awesome.
yeah.
I've heard already so many crazy ideas to add to the game. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, no, I can tell you're really excited about it, and I am too. I'm excited to see what everybody else has in mind, and like especially to see like when Ziklu finishes her artwork for them, and I'm
Yeah,
excited to see like what kind of like gameplay that brings to the game itself. It's going to be really fun, and
yeah,
it seems like the people who are backing the game and are in the Discord, like it seems like everybody's really passionate about that and really passionate about the game itself and really are rooting for you and the Kickstarter to kind of like push through and hopefully make it, And I
yeah.
it's a good
Really
little community.
encouraging. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, yeah. So one thing that I didn't actually expect from the Kickstarter was that everything kind of blew up.
Right. Yeah.
The
No, of
Discord
course.
wasn't so active.
Right. Oh,
Suddenly it's very, very active,
right.
um, and there's some activity on Steam.
Hmm.
So it's really great. A
Yeah.
lot of work, but really great.
Oh no, I can totally understand. Like answering everybody's questions, working with people on Kickstarter, backer rewards and things like that, and
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a it's been between that and then balancing like development of the game and then balancing real life,
yeah,
work and like family stuff. I'm sure it can be a handful. So just
yeah,
know it doesn't go unappreciated. Like it definitely, we all appreciate the work that you and Ziklu and and all like we appreciate what you do. So
thanks. Yeah, I appreciate you guys as well because without you, this game wouldn't make any sense. I
right,
can always make a game just for me, but that's
sure,
not fun.
right, no,
I've been
exactly.
challenged so many times during development of the game, during alpha,
Oh yeah,
and I think the game got really, really much better because of that feedback. So,
right,
so I really appreciate it. Yeah.
right. So you had started out on itch.io. How did that work, and how's that faring? Like now that you got everything else going, like is that the primary and pretty much sole place that you had the game, and or
Yes. So each was the only place that I had the game,
mhm,
and I actually wanted to start the alpha just to get the feedback
right,
because by the time I released the game in alpha, I already worked on it for 2 years.
right,
I thought it was fun already.
sure,
I did have a big world back then, so I wanted to share it and get feedback and see where it goes.
right,
And since then, it kind of grew because we have now a lot of other features and dialogues and story and yeah,
yeah, I get you, yeah, um, yeah. It seems that like from what I've seen from Itch, it seems like a good place for like indie developers like yourself, but it seems like it's hard to kind of like make yourself noticed, right? Um, like it seems like there's a
yeah.
lot of like
Uh,
other indie projects on there and stuff like that, and I feel like, and I could be wrong, like I said, but it seems like it's hard to kind of like get your name out there, so to speak.
yeah. Well, if you want to I don't know, release the game, it's better to do this on Steam, right? But
Sure.
if you want to start by gathering feedback, if you're not sure about the game or how far do you want to go with this,
Mm.
because the issue with Steam is that you can actually release it once, and there's tons of stories from game devs that you either make it or it's game over,
Hmm.
and
I get
it's
you.
just
Yeah.
this launch, right? So if you release on each, this is like a soft launch, let's say, and
Right.
you can just release it and show it to some people, try to get interested YouTubers to showcase it,
For sure.
um, and it's it's a good place to get feedback on the game and iterate and get it better and move on, right?
Right.
Before that big Steam release that should be stable and already good, right?
Right. So how did that go for you, by the way? You were talking about kind of like getting the word out to YouTubers. Like how did that go? Because I know it was Nookrium, right? Is his name?
Yeah.
Um, so how like have you gotten the word out to other YouTubers and things like that, or what has the overall response been from them?
Yeah. So for the initial alpha start, I actually didn't contact anyone
Right.
other than Reddit,
Right.
Twitter.
For sure, for sure.
Uh, so I didn't actually know who to contact or how to go about it.
Sure.
But actually, Nukrim was one of the people that actually noticed the game and showcased the demo version and then the alpha version of the early game.
Hmm.
Uh, and also Splattercat Gaming noticed the game and showcased it. Uh, and I believe Dominic Terrason from Rock Paper Shotgun wrote two articles, one for the demo and one for the alpha.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So we actually picked up mostly from Twitter,
Okay.
just from my tweets.
That's
They found the game and they looked at it. They found it interesting and they checked it out. Yeah.
that's really awesome, especially to get an article for Rock Paper Shotgun. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully you can get other places like either Kotaku or PC Gamer or other places.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah, fingers crossed, man, for sure, for sure. So, moving on to that, how's the Kickstarter going, man? Like, is it how's it treating you? I mean, like, I know things are, we're at what, like 5,000? Yeah,
Less.
5,295 USD. So how's that going for you? You're kind of obviously we're about halfway ish there, right?
Yeah, we're getting close to halfway,
Right.
and we're like 9 days till the end.
Right.
So it's going. It's going.
Right. For sure. For sure.
Difficult to say if we're gonna make it or not.
Right.
I remain hopeful,
No, yeah,
but
and I mean, you've probably seen it before. Kickstarter can surprise you. People do come out of the woodworks last moment,
yeah,
but
yeah. So
I I'm hoping for you and everything, and I'm hoping that the game gets funded. Um, Regardless,
yeah, thanks.
if for whatever reason that doesn't work out, what do you think your plans are?
Well, I had a couple ideas like try Patreon or some other ways to just get those additional funds to finish the graphics mod and just get us to the 1.0.
Hmm.
And hopefully then sales from Steam will allow us to continue working on the game.
Right.
But well, we'll see. There's, I guess, only 9 days left.
Right, you gotta remain
So
optimistic, and hopefully you can garner a little bit more attention and the eyes of the public to kind of
yeah,
hopefully,
I'm gonna try.
yeah, exactly, exactly. All right, I think that is good for now. I think
Yeah,
that's good for you. You think that's all right?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's pretty late for you, but I appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on and
thanks.
coming to
Thank you
chit
as
chat
well.
for a bit. And
Thanks for inviting me.
yeah, for sure. And hopefully I can have you on maybe after Kickstarter's over, like with
Yeah,
hopefully a
sure.
success, and maybe we
Yeah,
can talk a little bit more about that and kind of like what the next steps are and everything. But yeah,
yeah,
thanks for
yeah.
coming on, man. I appreciate it. So.
Thank you as well.
Hey everybody, just wanted to let you all know the Kickstarter link is down in the description below, so make sure to help out our friend Artur and get this game backed. I'll have some videos up of Soulash in the future, so make sure to stay tuned and I'll see you all in the next one.